Hi everybody. Now, you may have noticed the absence of engine reviews from my channel recently. That's because, ever since October when I went to the Swanage Railway to film Flying Scotsman, my storage has been rammed, because previously I was using a very primitive method of getting files to the computer via Google Photos. Recently, I discovered a very interesting feature, which means I can do it directly, and that means I have no storage to worry about. So, I'm going to do a quick video showcasing, very quickly, just briefly, all of the engines that I have bought in the time since. Right, let's get into it with engines I had for my birthday, because I went to Swanage for my birthday, and I got loads of engines for my birthday. One of which being this SDJR 7F. Now, I actually bought this thing with birthday money. It cost me £125, and very luckily I found it in my local model shop. These, as I am aware, are extremely rare, so I'm so lucky to have one. But the 7Fs actually have a special place in my heart, because the engine that I grew up with going on Santa Specials, because primarily Santa Specials were the only place I went on a steam train when I was a tiny kid, this engine pulled the Santa Specials. And I remember a kind driver let me onto the footplate. Well, let my dad onto the footplate with me in his arms, because I was a baby back then. And I remember really believing that this was Gordon, and I loved this engine as a kid. And it's so nice to have one in model form, and how lovely it is. I'm still questioning whether this has been run in, because the previous owner hadn't fitted the NEM couplings, and it looked like the box was pretty pristine, so I wondered whether it had been displayed. So I'm not sure whether this has been run in, which is probably my diagnosis for why the crawl is fairly poor. You can see that it goes quite slowly, and then it'll just leap forward any second now. Look, there it goes. As you can see, it's quite stuttery in general. Either way, it's a very lovely loco if you run it at sort of this speed, or any faster. And look at the detail on this. If you can't tell, mine is numbered 53810, a variant that came from factory weathered. And look at this. It just looks absolutely spectacular, doesn't it? It's just, there's loads of separately fitted parts. I think, if I just touch it, I think the running board's metal. And these, I'm using a little screwdriver to point at them. These bits here, they are metal. They are separately fitted. This is just absolutely otherworldly to me. Considering a lot of stuff I own is just like Hornby Railroad or really old and stuff, something as detailed and rich as this is just otherworldly to me. It's amazing. Cab detailing looks awesome. Look at that. It's just absolutely stunning. I know I sound like I'm losing my mind at this and I constantly say that it's stunning, but it is. If I move it forward, then it's got a separately fitted coal load. Tell me that is not awesome. Come on. I think this has got to be the best model I own. Surely. Okay, so the way the format of this video is going to work is I'm going to say a few words about the engine, as I have just done with the 7F, and then give it a quick run around the layout where you see a few clips of it in its element running round. So, let's go. Okay, so I think that's enough of the 7F. Now let's move on to the next engine, which is a BR Standard 4. It's 75037 in BR lined black. My parents got me this engine for my birthday, and I really love it because I saw a Standard 4 twice this year. Once was at the West Somerset when we had 75069 down for the Spring Gala, and another time was at the Painting in Dartmouth, where I saw 75014 Braveheart with Northern Transport Hub. And personally, I like to think that this represents Braveheart more, because 75069 had a different tender. Anyways, let's get into some details on this. And there aren't really too many to talk about. It's an old model, so a lot of the details are moulded. And if I just pull it back, then you can see that the seam along the boiler is a bit noticeable. Anyways, I think this model serves its purpose. What? Conked out. Because it is a very smooth runner. If I show you this just a sec, focus it. What? Bit bright. This phone does not like filming in dark conditions. If I try and pull it forward for you, look at that. It's easy to see why Bachmann pulled ahead with steam engines in sort of the 80s and 90s sort of time. That is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Right, as I seem to have highlighted fairly well that this engine's best quality is its running, why don't we have a look at it running around the layout? Let's go. And now we're going to move from one loco that my lovely parents gifted me for my birthday. Thank you very much, Mum and Dad. To another. It's literally just 9351. Right, so the interesting thing about this engine is that it has a story. And the story goes like this. So I fancied having an engine that looked like 9351. So I asked for a GWR Mogul for my birthday, and my parents got me one. It was very lovely, but not listed on the Hatton's listing was that it ran like poo. So we sent it back and got this one about a month after my birthday. And this one is amazing. This one is 7332, and it was in British Railways unlined green. And I'm just going to move it back a sec. I'm not going to push it because that's not nice. It was running with this tender here. I think this is a Churchwood 3500 gallon, but I wanted a Collet 3000 gallon because that's the one that 9351 has. So after much prowling, I finally found one on eBay for a decent price. I paid £13 for it, and I fashioned a coupling out of blue tack and a paperclip. I'm probably going to come up with something more permanent, but for now that's literally how it connects. And there it is. I might line out the loco if I can work out how, but for now it just runs like this. And for me, this is good enough to be 9351. Fun fact, I actually received the tender from the internet on the same day that I was out filming 9351 on the winter lights. So that was very nice to come home to. Annoyingly, the only engine I have that has 3D Great Western number plates is the one where I wanted to apply a transfer of 9351's number. Ah well, they look good now, but I'm sure they'll be a pain in future. Anyways, enjoy them while they're here. And there is actually more or less just the same stuff to say about this engine that there was for the 4MT. It's fairly undetailed, the paint's alright I guess, but if you look at that splasher then perhaps not the best quality. And the same goes for the boiler. You can't see it, but you'll probably see it in a minute. the seam is very noticeable, and it's just not a looks engine. Either way, the running, just like the 4MT again, is fantastic. If I crawl it for you, you can see that crawl. It's fantastic. So yeah, I'm very happy with this engine. I might line it out, as I said, and I'll probably renumber it whenever I can work out how to get cheap transfers. And anyways, thank you so much, Mum and Dad, for getting me both of these. Let's see it running. Right, that's enough of the Mogul, thanks 9351. And now, if you let me flick some points, we're going to reveal the new smallest engine in my collection. It's number 7, it doesn't have a name, and it's just stalled. What good timing. Here she comes around then for us. My new smallest engine. If you can't tell, this is just a Triangle, but to me it's very, very special. After falling in love with Pectin at Yeovil Railway Centre, I wanted a Hornby Peckett. Hornby Pecketts are very expensive, as it turns out. My research concluded that I would have to choose something else. So by chance, I popped into my local model shop, and here was this. It was a very lovely little loco. It cost me £25, and that is money well spent as far as I'm concerned. Somebody's worked really tirelessly on this, because it's a really old Triangle. It's got dodgy wheels. If I just pick it up, you can see on the bottom of it, the wheels look... It's just old, and somebody's done a lot of work on this, I can tell, to get it to run properly, which it does, because if I show you the crawl... Well, it seems to like stalling. There we go. Okay, so it's a little bit rusty because I haven't run it in a while. It's been a couple of weeks since I went to the model shop, and the layout hasn't been out for a few days. I don't know, school. Anyways, yeah, this runs very well considering how old it is, and the fact that there's only 2 pickups. I discovered that when I worked out that the front wheels were picking up less power than the back, so I gave them a clean, and now it goes over points smoothly enough for satisfaction. Anyways, there's not too much detail on here, because I think Triangle made these as sort of cheap models. I think the whistle might be separately fitted, but all of this is molded. Yep, all molded. To be fair, £25, it's pretty good. Now, you might have spotted it lurking where 9351 is now. That's because I plan to keep it in the yard and use it as a sort of yard shunter. I know I said it struggles on points. However, the plan is, nonetheless, to put it in the sidings. I love this. It's just a tiny little baby engine. What more could you want? Well, I'll tell you what more you could want in a minute. But first, we're going to see this little guy in action. Let's go. So that's enough of the blue engine then. Really hope you enjoyed it. And now is time for what I think is the biggest reveal of the video, because we've got two really cool engines here. We've got a shunter's truck with a 94XX and a Battle of Britain. Okay, so first then we're going to talk about the 94XX. Now this, as you may be able to tell, is not the new Bachmann release. Instead, it's a Lima. And it is a wonderful Lima, for that matter, because it actually runs well. It's fairly quiet as well. Okay, so it's about as noisy as the Small Prairie. But the Small Prairie is pretty good, and this is too. I bought this for the wonderful sum of £35, and I love it. Something I've noticed about these is that the middle wheel is not connected to the connecting rods. So it's technically an 040, but it's got another wheel for pickups. And I like it. I'm not going to disassemble it for you now, but inside here there's a massive metal thing, and presumably that's meant to help with traction or something, make it heavier. But the metal thing completely distorts the body. You can see this handrail's gone all funny, this is not touching the running board, and it's just slightly too big. So I'm going to take it into my school where we have like metal machines and stuff and see if they can make it a little bit better. Just like, I don't know, sand down the metal or something. Because I don't have the tools to do that, but they might. So I'm going to go and see if I can do that. But in the meantime, it looks alright at a glance, and I think the distortion isn't too noticeable to make it not enjoyable. Right, let's have a look at some of the details. And this engine has a surprising amount of them. Starting off with these separately fitted handrails, as well as this separately fitted thing. I really need to learn what those are called. Anyways, it's got handrails on the side of the tanks. I think, yeah, these are separately fitted on here. And these are separately fitted. The whistles are separately fitted. Lots of separately fitted. It's all very good to see. Unfortunately, all plastic. However, you can see via the Great Western stuff and this 9400 that the decals are good quality. And also the moulding. Look at all those rivets, they look fairly convincing. I think this is a really good model for what I paid for it, and I know how much people bash Lima and stuff for being poor build quality, and as you will have heard a minute ago, I agree with that. But I think they're rescuable. I think they're good models if you have a little look at them and you see what's wrong with your example, or even if there is anything wrong with your example, they can be fantastic. And I'm going to prove that by showing the running capabilities of this model by running it around the layout. Let's have a look. So now to address the elephant in the room. Why, or more to the point, how, did I get another Bully Pacific, and how did I make it? So yes, as that last sentence implied, I did make this. As you can see, there's a blue tack on the side, so it's slightly shoddily done, but essentially all this is one of those static models you could find everywhere in like 2014, unscrewed from its base. I took it apart, and I've used essentially just the body bit and blue tacked it onto the chassis of my non-running Triang Flying Scotsman. I've put the Flying Scotsman's body onto the chassis of the non-running one, so now that's just up on my shelf looking lovely. And I unscrewed this little pin you can see here and took off the stuff that makes it look like Wallshart's valve gear. So now it's essentially just, well, just that. It's a Battle of Britain. So really there isn't any more to say, I think. It's not particularly detailed. It doesn't have a cab interior. The wheels are the wrong colour. I'm not going to modify this because I know I want my Trying Flying Scotsman back at some point. So I'm not going to make this into anything different permanently. But I think as a nice temporary solution, it is nice to have a Bullet Pacific. Let's get it running. I've also bought some BR Southern Region Green Mark 1s, and because it has no motor, it's being pushed by the 47. Off they go. So that's going to be that for all my new locomotives. We've had the Bullet Light Pacific, we've had the 4MT, we've had the 7F, we've had the Lima 94XX, we've had 9351, and we've had the little blue engine. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.